Prince William has given a rare insight into his early years as a young royal, saying that Prince Charles and Prince Philip were big inspirations to his green environmentalism. Prince William has given royal family fans a rare insight into his childhood and personal life on a surprise podcast appearance ahead of the upcoming Meghan Markle podcast. The Duke of Cambridge spoke about his early years with actress Cate Blanchett, where he credited his father and grandfather, Prince Charles and Prince Philip, for giving him his passion for the environment. He says that his father and grandfather piqued his interest in the natural world, where the Duke of Cambridge reflected on the early years, nostalgically recalling how he would climb trees and dig ditches. The revelations come as Prince William appeared on the Climate for Change podcast with Academy Award-winning actress Blanchett, and comes amid the relaunch of Archie Audio, Markle's own podcast. Prince William said on the podcast, "I think my grandfather, my father, both kind of having a deep passion and interest in this area for many years, has sort of piqued my interest and my curiosity. So growing up, I was surrounded by kind of this adventure and this idea of exploring and being out in the garden. I used to spend hours climbing trees, digging ditches and all sorts of things, hiding in dens and all sorts around the garden. So I used to love being out in the sort of wild and the wet." The Duke of Cambridge made the environmentally friendly admittance on the Climate for Change podcast, where he joined entrepreneur Danny Kennedy and Blanchett. William expressed further hope during the conversation of making huge strides in tackling climate change and environmental issues. The Duke said his aim is to focus on scaling up the Earthshot Prize Council initiative, with plans to upscale the inaugural winners after he admitted to being inspired by Chair of Earthshot's board, Christiana Figueres. Prince William added that he would like to see more solutions to repair the planet led by women and indigenous communities in the 2022 nominees list, Hello reported. Archie Audio is yet to release more than one episode of their podcast, with a half-hour Christmas special their only released recording so far. Prince William joined Cate Blanchett and Danny Kennedy at a studio in East London to discuss climate activism. He was there for a recording of their podcast, Climate of Change, which launches this month to explore despair, optimism and hope in the face of environmental change. His conversation will feature in the second episode of the first season. Blanchett begins by discussing how she got into climate activism, and asks Prince William what drew him into environmental work. "It started pretty young," William says. "Watching a lot of documentaries, particularly with David Attenborough, at a young age that really piqued my interest. There's a wider world out there to explore." The moment that was a turning point was his gap year, however, when he traveled to Kenya in 2000 and learned from experts there. Yet, the prince continued, he understands how the world of environmental activism can be completely and utterly overwhelming. He told Blanchett and Kennedy, "To get your head around exactly what's going on is pretty mind-blowing. So, for me, I like to go back to how I learned it, and those building blocks of taking bit by bit." After speaking about activism, the Duke and the Climate of Change co-hosts discussed the Earthshot Prize, a global competition with the aim of finding 50 solutions across a decade to the world's biggest environmental challenges. Blanchett is on the Earthshot Prize Council.